Yes, Senthil, go ahead and explain about broadcast variables.
Yeah, sure. So broadcast variables, most of our place we will see like it is just a word we will see, and we even it will not be clear, but here it has been given little bit detail. Like broadcast variables are variables which are available in all the executors executing the Spark application. Spark application is the program that we are going to submit in the Spark submit, and these variables are already cached and ready to be used by the task executing as part of the application. So meaning is like they are stored in the executors. Broadcast variables are sent to the executors only once, and it is available for the all tasks executing in the executors. uh, so uh, so the thing is like we will be storing once and we will be using it whenever we need. So that is the purpose of the broadcast variable. To explain it more, let come here when to use broadcast variables. So in the employee data set, you have a column to represent state. The state is represent with the two letter notation, that is NY for New York. Okay, so now you want the output to print the employee name and the state, but you want the full name. For example, I'm having like Senthil Kumar NY. It needs to be Senthil Kumar New York. So the state as opposed to the two letter notation. There is a traditional way to solve this problem, which is to maintain the small data set with the state two letter to full name mapping and join. We can map and join it, like those things we can do, but with the employee data set. But joining on the two letter key state key, this will most certainly get the output you are looking for. But there are a lot of complications, needless complications with the above approach. Join triggers a shuffle, and for a big data set it will be very expensive. A lot of data gets transferred over the network. um, Shuffle will increase the execution time of the job. So these are all the complications that we have when we are using the traditional way of joining the data full name mapping and joining this data set. Okay, so what we are going to do is like instead of using a join, form a map key value pair with state two letter and state full name and broadcast the map. Spark will serialize the data and will make the map data available for all executors. So the task can do a simple look of two letters and the state full name mapping instead of joining to get to the output. So this will help to get the output accordingly. When to not use the broadcast variables? Use broadcast variables on a smaller lookup style data and not on big data sets. This size of data that you are broadcasting should be in MBs and not in GBs. So another uh, limitations there is with the broadcast variables. So when it is small MBs, in MBs we can use it, but it's not in GBs. So how does Spark handle broadcast variables? Uh, when Spark sees the use of broadcast variable in your code, Spark will serialize the data and send it to the all the executors involved in your application. Hope you all know like executor core and memory regarding that. And the Spark will serialize the data and send it to the all the executors. The broadcast variable that are cached on actually the broadcast variable will be stored in the each executor. That is what we call as cached on the executor side, and all the tasks in the application will have access to the data in the broadcast variable. Assume you have 10 executions, um, and your application execute 100 tasks in total. So the broadcast variable will be sent to the 10 executors as opposed to 100 times in. That's a tenfold decrease in the amount of the data that would have been transferred if we don't use the broadcast variable. So it may seems like a small thing, but when during the execution, in the core executors, it will cause a lot of things on it. So these are all the some of the things that we have. We can explain it for the when to use part broadcast variables. So let's have some example, like how just an example. Here is how we retrieve the broadcast variable. So val state name, we are creating a value, and b states dot value get state. So val states, we are mapping the New York as New York, Illinois as Illinois, C as California, and val b states spark contrast broadcast states. So here we are using it. So um, during the Spark context, we are creating an RDD, and we are storing the broadcast variable this way. So and then we are going to further we are going to use it. For example, val data sequence of John software engineer CA. So these things we will do it, and finally this is how they have explained, like import Spark SQL implicits, val column SQL sequence name role state, and val df data to columns df. So here we are displaying like John software engineer. So whatever here it is showing this way. uh, but again there is another thing when we are executing this. Df to df map row val state row get string val state name state values get state. So after using these thing, we are getting the um, John software engineer California, Illinois, and those things. Yeah. So this is how it all works. So we don't need much on these things, like in most of the places we get what is broadcast variables, but in this we are getting the broadcast variable real time example, where for example ny is like we are showing as in New York, the full name needs to be displayed. We can use a traditional method or the regular method of mapping and joining the data sets, but it has some limitations like join, trigger, a shuffle, and for a big data set will be expensive. A lot of data gets over transferred, and shuffle will increase. So what we are going to do is like so even if it is like an MB or MB, we need to use it not in GBs. So it will be helping even if it looks a small thing, but when we are using in executors, the time, the execution time will be get increased. And in a programmatic explanation, we can see that the broadcast, how it is like the RDD has been created. Here is like val b state spark context dot broadcast of states. So this is the core thing that we have to take from this one. So do you have any questions?
Yeah, is it completely related to Spark, like streaming, or where we can exactly use this broadcast variables?
So I think this can be used with the Spark. Uh, in Spark, whenever we are using such things, we are need to call it. We can use it accordingly. So is that
this
question
is
is different?
for Spark only. Okay. First, one of the
Yeah, yeah.
concept as part of performance tuning, we can say, but there is a big limitation by using broadcast variables, because you have to have good knowledge and cluster resources availability. Though we get a performance benefit, but indirectly we are using you know so much of RAM. Okay, when we
Like a
cache our
cache.
data, right? See, let us say our data set is 50 MB or 100 MB, we can say. Okay, and one table data is 100 MB, and one more table that is 1 GB. Okay, anyway, 1 GB of data, anyway, we are not going to broadcast, and we will prefer only 100 MB of data set to be broadcasted. So, if we won't broadcast, then our memory, how much, like 100 MB, sorry, yeah, 100 MB and 1 GB might be utilized, and some internal transformation and all, our data storage purpose, some, let us say 500 MB or 200 MB may be extra used. Okay, let us say total 1.5 GB may be used to get our desired output. You can assume like something like that without broadcasting. But coming to broadcast, right? So if you're going to broadcast this 100 MB of data into 100 executors, or let us say 10 executors we have, in 10 executors into 100, that means 100 means 100, one table, right? We are discussing one small table is 100 MB is stored in 10 executors. That means 10 into 100, that is 1 GB, right? So here just we are discussing only one data set, but what about in real time? So it may be some 500 MB or 1 GB of data also. So, and it may not use only 10 executors. It might use some hundreds of 100 executors. So in that case, it's very expensive, right? So it will eat all the resources. So that also we have to take care when we are writing this type of code, especially when we are using broadcast variable. That is the reason very rarely we will use and we should use this concept with proper knowledge on cluster resource availability. Okay, this is the only biggest disadvantage I can say. But of course, we have to use in a systematic way if you know the knowledge. Hope this might be clear to all.
Yeah. So, is there any time limit, like, to flush this what we cache it, or
No.
we have to
That
do it?
that is there. When you create a Spark session, right? So
Uh-huh.
that is live till that session closed.
Close.
Okay, or when you get a final output, automatically that application whatever ID will be closed, right? At that time, you won't see the cache data.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Senthil, I think you pick up very good topics, and I can suggest you to this part is fine, and going forward, right? If you want to touch any practical topics, like broadcast variable is a practical topic, right? So this theoretical is very good, and whatever you explained the programmatical, right? So if you execute in a system and show some difference between the without broadcasting with broadcasting, it makes sense. But of course, unfortunately we do not have the cluster, so definitely we won't achieve benefit of this broadcasting with the one node, right? But
Yeah.
at least you have to execute this program without any errors. Okay, but we can correlate how
Okay.
it will be happen in a cluster scenario. But in this type of topics, definitely I can recommend you to execute on a mission. Okay, so that
Yeah,
people
sure.
will get understand. And one more thing, guys, Spark with Scala is very good combination. However, at present, right, Python is a booming. So if anybody are going to learn Spark, I can recommend you go with PySpark. If you already have knowledge in it, it is fine. And if you have already have some knowledge and Spark with Scala, that is also fine. But I can recommend you to learn PySpark also, because many companies are using PySpark. Okay, of course, if anybody asks me which is very fast, I can say Scala with Spark is a bit faster than any other, and because Scala is natively using Java and backend. And so whatever we are trying to run should be converted into again Java code. That is Java virtual machine. It has to execute. So the conversion is making little time, and on Spark is itself developed by using Scala. So that is the reason Spark with Scala combination bit faster than any other. And but faster means it won't make much difference, but you cannot find at least. So let us say if you are running a program, if when you use same program by writing by writing Spark and Scala code, let us say it's taking some 5 minutes to execute that code. So if you are using this, if you are writing the same program by using PySpark, Python with Spark, and it may take around 4.5 minutes, sorry, 5.5 minutes, something like that, or 5.10 seconds, something like that. But it won't make much difference. Okay, that kind of latency will be there. But if you are working for OLTP applications, then no worry, because OLAP, I can say OLAP applications. It's more related to warehouse kind of thing. So we can manage it. If it is Spark streaming or real-time analysis analytics, then yes, speed matters there. Okay, so this just want to share this information.
Naresh, just last time you asked me to run those Hive queries using that sales script. Is it okay if I can share?
Yeah,
Or
please share, and you can run it.
okay, sure. Yeah, thank you.
You can share.
Let me
Yeah,
let
thanks
me
Senthil
just
for your presentation.
Yeah, that's it.